What's up guys, Shekinah Tubby here, aka Shay, and you're watching episode number 23 right here on The Creative Quest. Welcome back to The Creative Quest, guys, and on this episode it's just going to be me today, and I just kind of want to update you guys on just some changes that are going to be coming to the channel, and I've noticed that there's been some natural segmentation happening with the content that I've been creating. I've been experimenting with just some different kinds of videos and kind of figuring out what's going to work for me with the gear that I have, and because I have some outdated gear here, and I'm due for a tech upgrade, and that is going to happen this year, but what I'm kind of capable of doing in the season of life that I'm in right now. And then also what's kind of resonating with, the small, little, tiny audience that I have right now. And just also kind of what I want to do with this. And so there's been a couple episodes that I've done that have been more of an interview style with my husband, Nick, and then also with Julian Stans, a friend of mine, local musician here. And those two videos are very successful. People really seem to like, the interview kind of style and like the conversation and the engagement. And, I enjoyed it. But because there's two people, the video is lengthier and it is just like a bitch to edit with my poor little laptop over here that is like a 2012 MacBook. Yeah, cannot handle, it doesn't have enough power to edit that much video and export that much video. It's too much to do like on a weekly basis. So I'm actually going to be separating the interview style stuff and actually using that content to launch a podcast. I'm still gonna make videos for that. I'm still gonna obviously capture it on video, but I'm gonna be putting that content under a different category on the YouTube channel. And it's going to be primarily podcast material that will be under an entirely different name. And then the Creative Quest is going to return to a more organic style vlog series that is just me, mostly just me. I mean, my husband will be in it too, of course, and what other people get involved with my music projects. But it's going to be me documenting me writing songs, demoing songs, what I'm working on musically. It's it's gonna kind of return to the original vision for the Creative Quest was, of course, to document my journey in becoming a full-time artist and show a lot about the behind the scenes stuff of what I'm doing and what I'm making and how I'm making it. And so my goal is to be able to do all of that vlogging from my phone, which is what I'm filming on right now, so that I don't have to use my laptop to export those videos. I can kind of do everything from my phone, and so I'm going to be making this a whole lot more of an organic style vlog than some of the other episodes that you've seen of me doing different tutorials and all this kind of different tutorials and different talks about different topics and things like that. It's gonna go back to kind of what it originally started as, which I'm really excited about because that's gonna be, I think, a bit more manageable for me right now. So my goal is every other week to come out with a vlog and then to do a podcast episode with somebody. So that's my goal for the next 6 months or so, but I just wanted to let you guys know, because the Creative Quest isn't going anywhere. I'm just going to kind of hone in and narrow down on specifically what the Creative Quest is, and I'm going to kind of segment the other stuff in a different direction. So all that to say, if you would like to keep up with all this content that I'm putting out, the vlog and the podcast, you can do that by subscribing to this channel and ringing the bell. If you haven't watched any of my other videos, go ahead and check those out and just kind of see, hey, what is this girl up to? What are her thoughts? What is she into? And check it out. And if it's resonating with you, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, all that, so you can kind of watch all this unfold. I'm still, again, I'm that's what the Creative Quest is about, is the development and the process and the journey. And so you'll see that in like the progression of the videos themselves on this channel. So with that, today I wanted to start off this kind of new way of doing all of this with an episode all about why I make music. So I kind of want to go back to, again, like grassroots about, why I'm here, why I'm making music. I'm 28 years old, and I have been at this music thing since I was like 6 or 7 years old, and why have I not quit? You know what I mean? And what is my why? Like, what is my reason behind pursuing music, not only just as a craft and as a passion, but also, as a career, and why I'm still pursuing it, and why I still have the drive and the passion for it still, even as a 28-year-old, and encountering, a lot of failures and different things so far, and what keeps me going with it. And so I'm actually going to break this up into a few different episodes about this, because I want to kind of go into like my childhood and kind of progress through that. I kind of want to break this up into like, short form videos and kind of create a mini series of this about like why I make music. So let's get started. Well, it all kind of started again when I was a child. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she was very involved with church and church music, and she was a singer and a worship leader, and she played the tambourine. And I grew up in a very charismatic kind of Pentecostal environment, so music was like the centerpiece of my religious experiences as a child, and that bled into my home life. So my mom like had a songbook, and we would sing songs all the time. She would be singing while she was cleaning the house, and she taught me how to sing. We would dance around and sing together. So I had a very musical like childhood. My mom, would perform special music in church, and she would teach me parts to those songs so I could sing with her, or she would give me a solo, or she would get one of our neighbor friends, one of the neighbor girls or whatever, to come over and sing with me, and she would teach us the song, and we would do a duet, and we'd perform it in church. So my mom was putting me up on the stage as like a 4 or 5-year-old kid, singing in front of people in my cute little Sunday dress. Yeah, you can't picture that now, can you? I am not going to show you those pictures. I don't even know if I have anymore, but anyways. So I started singing at a very young age, and music was just kind of around me in my environment so much that it made its way into my neurological development as a child, if I can get really scientific with it. But then at around 6 years old, I started to have an interest in playing the guitar. And the reason for that, my brother is 11 years older than I am. We're very far apart in age, and he was 17 years old when I was 6. And so he, of course, is getting into young adulthood while I'm just getting into my middle childhood years. And so he was in band, and he played all sorts of instruments. He played trumpet, he played bass guitar, he played guitar. He also had a Japanese flute. I remember the Japanese flute. He also had a didgeridoo, and he could actually play it. So he was all over the map with instruments. He played the tuba. And I think he did a little bit of like drumline stuff too, I'm not sure. But my brother was very musical and into all sorts of different instruments, and he had a really good ear. But he would listen to like these rock bands, and that had like electric guitars as like the center of the sound. Like growing up with like contemporary Christian music from the 80s, the electric guitar was like a feature. It was like, oh, here comes the guitar solo, or it was like in the background, as like a texture. It wasn't really like the center of the sound, if that makes any sense. And so when I was like, his room was right next to mine, and I would hear him playing this music, and I would come in and I'm like, what is this? And because I really liked it, I was really attracted to the sound of the electric guitar, and I was just like, I want to play that. Like, I want to make that sound. Like, how do I do that? Like, what do I need to do? And my brother was just like, you really want to play guitar? I'm like, yeah. And so I guess, I don't know how this happened, but I guess he made like a deal with my parents or something. And again, granted, I was 6 years old at the time. And my parents then came to me and made this deal with me that, you know, we're gonna give you money for chores that you do around the house every week, and you save up $100, and then your brother will take you to go get a guitar. And so we actually went to the guitar store. There was a guitar store close to where I lived. It was called Gorilla Guitars, and I remember walking in as a kid to this Gorilla guitar shop. And I walk into the front door, and in the center of the room is this like display, right? And there's this big, huge stuffed gorilla that was bigger than me, okay? And it was sitting on top of this display holding this guitar. And there's a banana, and like, it was like, I remember this like it was yesterday. But Gorilla Guitars, that was the name of it. And so we went, that was the local guitar shop. That was in my town of, I think it was Beaverton, Oregon, a small suburb outside of Portland, Oregon. And so we picked out this guitar. It was a white Gibson Epiphone. When Epiphone was, when the Epiphone guitars had a Fender Strat body style, and it was like white, like bright white. And so that was the guitar that I was going to get. And I think we picked it out before we actually bought it, just to make sure, of course, I could play it. And so I then managed to do chores around my house. I don't know how long. I bet you it was only, because I got like $10 every week, and so I bet you it was only 10 weeks that I did chores for, but it felt like an entire year as a child. But I do know that I passed my birthday because I was 7 years old when I actually got enough money to go buy the guitar. So I remember the weekend where, you know, I would clean the bathrooms, and we had like white doors like the one behind me here, like white painted doors in our house, and my mom had me like wash the doors with a sponge so that they would stay white. They would stay clean. So, and we had like a 2-story rental home, so there's a lot of doors in this house. So I'm like washing doors and cleaning toilets, and like, I had to clean the floors too. I had to mop and sweep all the floors in the house. So I did all this, and I remember on the final day, like the final day that I got that last $10 bill, I was so excited. I ran upstairs with this $10 bill, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I come to my brother's bedroom. And his bedroom door's open. He's sitting there, I don't know, listening to music, doing whatever he does. And I flashed this $10 bill in front of the doorway, and I said, I got $100. And I like skipped to my room, right, to get my coat. And he's grabbing his keys and everything. He's like, all right, let's go. And so we drive down to Gorilla Guitars, and I walk in, and I see that white Gibson Epiphone sitting on a stand on the display next to the Gorilla. And I was just looked at it with a big smile, like, this is finally mine. And we packed up that guitar and got into my brother's old Volkswagen Rabbit with a hatchback, and we drove home. And my brother had to work, so I couldn't have my first guitar lesson right away. So I just sat on my bed with this guitar, and I just stared at it like, right, and I'm like petting it or something, I don't know. But I kind of tried to start playing it a little bit, and like tried to figure out like, okay, I've seen people do this, like, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm just gonna wait till my brother gets home. So I put the guitar down, and I went outside to play. I went outside to play for a little while in the front yard, and my brother came home from work, and he's like, you ready for your first guitar lesson? I'm like, yeah. And so we go into the living room, and my brother teaches me my first couple chords. And I don't remember exactly what they are, but I'm pretty sure it was E minor and D, I think, were the 2 chords that I learned, because the first song that I ever played, I don't remember what it was. I don't remember if it was a song that my brother wrote or if it was a song that my brother got from like his church youth group community. But it was like a 3-chord little song that I played for a Wednesday night, like church kids event. So if there's anybody that's watching that grew up in church as a kid, you might be familiar with Awanas, which was like it was like a kids club on Wednesday nights it was like a church kids club on Wednesday nights. And you would have to like memorize Bible verses and all that kind of stuff. And you'd get like, patches. And it's kind of like the Christian version of Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts is basically what it is. Like the churchy version of that. But our kind of kids club thing was not called Awanas, it was called King's Kids. So I had like a vest, and I would get like jewels and different patches and things to put on it, like a crown I had to fill up, and like, yeah, so you get the Girl Scout, Boy Scout vibe, but only it was like church. And so I was attending King's Kids every Wednesday night, and they had like this little talent show thing that they were putting on, and I wanted to play my guitar. So my parents and my brother helped me like bring my little amplifier in there and my guitar, and I've been playing guitar for only a few months. I think it was only a few months because I was still 7 years old, so I hadn't turned 8 yet. And I played this little 3-chord song for my like King's Kids group or whatever, and I remember that feeling of like playing in front of people, and I loved it. I was like, this is so fun, like I want to play in front of more people. I want to do this again. All right, well, that concludes the first episode in this series of Why I Make Music. And if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and hit subscribe and ring the bell so you can know when the next one comes out. And we will continue the story next time right here on The Creative Quest. Thanks again, guys, for watching. Very excited to get to know you guys, and very excited for all the things to come on this channel and all the things to come with the music I'm making. And I'm just so excited to get to share that stuff with you. So I'll see you next time right here on The Creative Quest.